In this video, we're going to clean and preserve a complete shell. This is a shell of a yellow-bellied slider. And although a little damage and some scutes were missing when I found it, it's still going to make a great final piece, and you can watch all the steps I take to make it. I'll leave a link in the description to a video that's already out there of when I found this shell. Amongst other great finds, you can see the surrounding area in which I found it. These guys love rivers, ditches, lakes, and ponds. I found a couple of these shells. I'm so happy. The first thing we're going to do is take a brush that'll reach and clean out the dry dirt in and around the spine and ribs. You can spin and twirl and poke the brush around in there. Using circular motions works great, but just be very careful not to break anything. Any problem areas, you can use a little hydrogen peroxide to help lift and clean. But just remember, it's still all going to be going into a full bath of it, so it doesn't need to be perfect at this stage. Now I'm going to start using warm water to rinse it off and start trying to lift the dirt off the outside of the shell. Some of the scutes on your shell can already be brittle, so you don't want to brush too hard in a weak area. Just focus on the dirty spots and take your time. Okay, once all the dirt has been lifted and rinsed off, it's time for our hydrogen peroxide bath. Hydrogen peroxide is not only going to clean the shell and make it nice and whiter, it's going to make the overall color of everything end up a few shades lighter than the original when you started. All the scutes, everything is going to be a little bit lighter in the end, so just be aware. If you want to keep everything in its natural coloration, just go with a 50-50 borax and water solution as your cleaner and add in a little salt. Whatever method you choose, the bath is only going to be for 24 hours, and then after that, it's going to dry for 24 hours. We're going with the hydrogen peroxide here. You can see all the bubbles immediately start getting to work. And as completely expected, the shell weakened a bit during that time. Some scutes floated off and loose shell fragments separated. Using glue before the bath doesn't really prevent that from happening either. I actually love doing this. This is where we get to piece everything back together and bring it to life and glue it down with clear glue or school glue. Super glue works, but I avoid it because it has the potential to dry in a cloudy manner. But everything comes back together so perfectly. Watch how tightly this is going to lock back in together and interconnect. Bam! I'll end up giving this small piece a few more applications of glue on both sides. The glue dries fairly quickly, 20 or 30 minutes. Time to glue everything down and all the scutes. You can start wherever you want and just work around the shell methodically. I'm gluing everything I can. If the scutes are loose, lift them up. I'm gluing all the lines, the grooves, and spaces underneath. Use as much glue as you want. Press those scutes down into the glue and make sure there's no air bubbles underneath. As you work, you're going to see the exquisite nature of these shells. You're going to see how all the shell fragments have mended together precisely. You'll notice how there are small grooves on all the shells that will match the scutes perfectly. In this stage, all your patience is what's really going to make this project pop. Just know the final polyurethane or varnish layer is right around the corner and it doesn't take long, so this part needs your best concentration. And use a lot of glue if you'd like. And whatever is left over, just spread it to another part of the shell and just work it around. Just push and glue everything down and together exactly how it should fit. You can use the grooves of the shell to fit everything together like puzzle pieces. I have a spray bottle and water and paper towels right here to keep rinsing the drying glue off my fingertips throughout the process. I'm gonna stop talking for a minute so we can watch, because that's part of the video, right? Is to just see the process. The glue is all dry. Time for an inspection. It's looking fantastic. If you find any areas needing any additional glue or attention, now's the time to do it, because we only have one thing left to do. A polyurethane finish. I would do 2 or 3 coats of polyurethane or 4 coats of varnish. You can either spray it on or brush it on. The spray does work great. You can even control the nozzle shapes. But since I'm in no rush and I enjoy the intimacy of these projects and I want to be sure I get every little tiny corner, I'm just going to go with the brush. In my next video, already in the works, I do use the polyurethane spray, so You'll be able to also see what that's like in that video. But as for now, all these strokes are going to be the finishing touches to your project. I love this little curve here in the front where the turtle's neck would be. Looks nice and smooth and comfortable. Well, that's about gonna do it. If you have any questions, let me know. And thank you so much for watching. So happy how this one came out. Although it was already damaged and had scoots missing, I think this is probably one of the best outcomes I could have hoped for. Catch you on the next one.